I'm joined right now by former Republican presidential candidate and Fox News contributor, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, good to see you.
Good to see you, Trish. What an amazing day it's already turning out to be.
Well, this is interesting to me because you certainly have been, we should say, a bit of a critic of Mitt Romney's all along the way, and you did not favor him, as I understand it, for that position as Secretary of State. Well, now it looks like there are some more choices. What do you think?
Well, I now think we need to call it the not-so-short list of people who are being considered for Secretary of State. But the fact that we have that list expanding, the fact that he's meeting both with Peter Thiel and Al Gore, one of the things that just is blown away in terms of the perception of Donald Trump, the national media tried to portray him as a man who is fairly shallow, he's not that thoughtful, and he's impulsive. Well, one thing that this process, I hope, has completely put to bed is the notion that he's either. He's a very thoughtful person. He's a man of great depth. He's an incredibly curious person. So he would want to meet with people, whether it's Al Gore or anyone else who have maybe very different views, to listen to them and hear from them. The second thing is he's not impulsive. The fact that he's very methodically working through a list of people that he's considering for his cabinet is, to me, an affirmation of his extraordinary executive savvy, and this is something I think we're going to see throughout his presidency.
You know, what do you think of Governor Huntsman? Do you think he could do the job? I mean, he certainly has experience in China. More than, you know, you look at anybody else on that list, he seems to be highly familiar with China, and given all that's going on right now, we could use some of that.
Well, sure. John Huntsman would be a great choice. He's a personal friend. We were governors together. I have a great respect for him. But ultimately, Donald Trump will choose someone that he feels very compatible with his worldview, and someone who will go forth and represent Donald Trump's views to the world and bring that worldview of the other countries back to him in a very blunt way. Who that person is, that's for Donald Trump to decide, and I'm convinced he's going to make a good and decent choice that will serve his administration.
You mentioned that he's very rational and he likes to talk to many different people before making a decision. One of the conversations he had this weekend that attracted a lot of attention, as you know, is that call with the Taiwanese president. People are all upset, saying, look, this completely breaks with diplomatic protocol, to which you say what, Governor?
The diplomatic protocol needs to be broken. We have kowtowed to what Beijing wants us to do. Taiwan is our friend. What we ought to do is apologize for the way the Carter administration treated them back in 1979 when they were frog-marched out of the UN. It was an embarrassing moment. Here you have Taiwan, a freedom-loving democracy who elects people and who has built a whole system on free enterprise, who values our values, who mirrors our form of government in so many ways, and we treated them like an enemy, and we treated the communists like they were our best friends. Look, I get it that China's big. I get it that they have a lot of money, that therefore there's a big advantage in having trade with them. But look, we also ought to be very blunt with China. They oppress their people. They jail people for differing views, and they don't practice religious liberty. So, look, this is great that Donald Trump has said, I'm going to stand up with people who stand up with things we care about. Good for him.
You know, he also made the point that we sell them more than $1 billion worth of military equipment, so they're also one of our customers. Anyway, the whole thing has been fascinating. Before I let you go, Governor, I want your reaction to what Sarah Palin said recently in an op-ed. She basically slammed Donald Trump for the carrier deal in which 1,000 jobs were saved, saying that this smacks of crony capitalism. What do you say about your good friend Sarah there?
Well, crony capitalism is when you give a particular company some benefits because of who runs it. It's not crony capitalism when you create an incentive that creates jobs, because here's what I found as a governor. If you have people who are out of work, the government is paying for their health insurance, they're probably helping their housing, their food stamps. The government is paying a whole lot of stuff, and these folks aren't working. Give them a job, and guess what? Then they get those benefits,
I would also
but they
add
get
to that,
it from the sweat of their brow.
You know, you can't forget about the ripple effect, because every one of these jobs affects many, many more jobs. All right, who's your money on for Secretary of State? I want to know.
You know, I still think Rudy is the odds-on favorite. I may be wrong, but he's been loyal. He's got great credentials, and you know, if I had to bet a piece of cake, that's who I'd go with.
Okay, thanks so much. Governor Huckabee, good to see you.